a 69-yard Miami Miracle, a 99-yard NFL-tying rushing touchdown, and a Jets victory that snapped their losing streak at 6, and the Houston Texans winning streak is over? Well, we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. Welcome to Week 15 of the Blitz Zone. Hi, everybody. My name is Eric Rosen, and I'm coming to you live from the studios of CTV in Staten Island, New York. Tonight, we have so much to get into, a lot of the games from Week 14, and we're going to pick the Week 15 games. But let's start off with the playoff picture, updated since last night's Thursday night game between the Chargers and the Chiefs. So on the AFC side of things, the number 1 seed, the Kansas City Chiefs, still after their 29-28 loss to the Chargers last night, they still own the number 1 overall seed and lead the AFC West with the best divisional record over the Chargers at the moment. They did clinch a playoff spot 2 weeks ago, so they don't have to worry about that. Now clinching their division and first round bye and the number 1 overall seed, that they have to worry about. The fact is they had a 20-14 lead last night, and I can't believe they gave up 15 unanswered points, including the game-winning 2-point conversion. The defense has got to do a lot better than what we've seen from them last night. But Patrick Mahomes and company, did their best, but unfortunately could not convert the much-needed 4th down on their final drive of the game. And the defense, though, gave up that big 4th and 11. That was it. We knew right there Chargers were going to drive down the field, get the touchdown, and the game-winning 2-point conversion. So the Chiefs right now, they're just holding on to it for the moment and tied for the best record in that conference with the Chargers. At the number 2 slot, you got the New England Patriots. Didn't clinch the AFC East for the 10th straight year last week because they lost to the Miami Miracle, Miami Dolphins. Yeah, what am I referring to? The 69-yard insane lateral played game-winning touchdown by the Dolphins, especially Kenyon Drake, who went down the right sideline, and they win 34-33, the Dolphins, over the Patriots. The Patriots lost because of the fact that they didn't because Gostkowski missed the extra point on the first touchdown of the game for the Patriots, and the field goal as well. That's 4 points Stephen Gostkowski left on the board. That was the difference between the Pats winning and losing last week. They still have the number 2 slot at the moment, but now they're in for the ride of their lives, the biggest matchup of the week. The same like last year, Week 15 in Pittsburgh. Last year, the Patriots didn't win. That was also due to the fact that Jesse James' touchdown, or as we all thought was a touchdown, was overruled because the ground caused the ball to move. A lot of people still dispute that call by the refs. I kind of dispute it as well. In fact, the Steelers should have won that game last year. That was a mistake on the refs' part. Let's hope they don't make the same mistake this time with any touchdowns by both sides. I'm going to get a drink right now. Refreshing. Now, so the Patriots still own that for the moment. At number 3, the Houston Texans. Their 9-game winning streak was snapped Week 14, losing to the Colts 24-21 at home. They needed that win at least to clinch their division and clinch a playoff spot. They still haven't yet, but they have a chance to do it tomorrow night against the Jets. I will be at that game. It's a special edition Saturday game at 4:30. It's going to be on the NFL Network, and I believe it will be on either Channel 11 or CBS Channel 2. Actually, no, or maybe Fox. It depends since the NFL Network and Fox are working hand in hand together on the Thursday night games. Now, the Texans will need to beat the Jets, and they need the Colts to lose to the Cowboys, and they need some help as well from the Colts and the Titans losing to the Giants. So, yeah, a lot of that will have to happen for the Texans to clinch their division. As for the Steelers, they're 7-5-1. They have a half-game lead, a barely half-game lead in the AFC North over the Baltimore Ravens. They were lucky that the Ravens lost last week. Otherwise, it could have been a different story. Now, for the Steelers, on the other hand, they were 7-2-1. They've lost 3 straight games. And before last week's game against the Raiders, they unfortunately lost James Conner to a bad high ankle sprain for week 4. So he didn't play week 14, and that definitely did not help. Samuels did all he could, but wasn't enough. And neither is Stephen Ridley, honestly. James Conner is another Le'Veon Bell who can run out of the backfield, who can change the way defensive coordinators defend against Roethlisberger and company, and it opens up more plays for Antonio Brown, where he's not the onus. It's also on Conner. It's on some of the other players. Now, without Conner, it makes it very easy for the defenses just to key on Antonio Brown and force Roethlisberger to try to win with some of the other players, and that has not worked out to their advantage. Let's hope that they can. They have to rectify all their issues this week, but against the Patriots of all teams. So, is history doomed to repeat itself for the Steelers this year in the same week as last year? We'll find out. As for the Chargers, that was a huge victory. The fact is, in 2 out of the last 3 games, the Chargers have come back from first half deficits. If you look at the Steelers game 2 weeks ago, on Sunday Night Football, they were down 23-7. They won 33-30 on the game-winning field goal. This time around, they're down 14-7 at the half last night against the Chiefs, and they are able to come back and win 29-28. Philip Rivers is having this team driving this team and getting them riveted on all cylinders. The fact that Melvin Gordon wasn't playing again this week, and yet they're able to run the ball with Austin Eckler, and the wideouts are contributing in all different facets, including the game-winning 2-point conversion. That was a great play at the very end of the game right there. And that was just masterful work. And that was the first time in years that they've beaten the Kansas City Chiefs at all. So I'm just happy that they won that game, and then it was a good victory for them. And the Ravens right now holding on to that 6th slot at 7-6. They lost last week. That was a bad loss for them. Now they got the Dolphins, the Colts, and the Titans just nipping at their heels for that number 6 slot. Those 3 teams I mentioned are in the hunt right now, along with the Broncos at 6-7, the 5-7-1 Cleveland Browns. I can't believe those words coming out of my mouth. 5-7-1 and Cleveland Browns. What is wrong here? Oh, you know why? Because the Cleveland organization is used to, in the last years, had a combined 1 victory. 1 victory in the last 2 years before 2018. And now they've had 4 more victories this season. And honestly, it should have been even more wins on the year. If you look at the first month of the season, they were in almost every single game. So honestly, at this point, they should have had 9 victories. But you know what? The Browns this year, since Hugh Jackson was let go, and thank goodness he was, because he was leading that team to nowhere, along with Todd Haley, because he was also a cancerous person in that locker room, along with that's not right to say. They were Todd Haley and Hugh Jackson just butted heads a lot and made things uncomfortable for all the other players, and it was high time for John Dorsey to let them go. Greg Williams has come in to be the interim head coach. Freddie Kitchens moved up to the offensive coordinator position, and things have opened up for the Browns. The playbook, especially for Baker Mayfield, yes, unfortunately 2 weeks ago he had a 3-interception first half. But other than that, he has done well with this new offensive system that Kitchens has put in place. And Nick Chubb has been another reason why the Browns have been successful this year. This is basically the best Browns team I've seen in the last few years. The last time they made a postseason, 2002. They're still mathematically in it. They need to win their final 3 games and a lot of help along the way. Is it possible? It is. But again, they would need every team in front of them to either self-destruct or implode, and they would have to win every game and hope that's enough. The Bengals are 5-8. They're still mathematically in it, but I'm going to say it's going to be a done deal after this week. They are going to lose this week even if it's against the Raiders. I still believe they are going to lose at home this week. And not only that, we're going to hear their head coach, Marvin Lewis, I think will get fired by the end of this week. I really believe this will be the end for him. It's been enough. They need to go in a new direction. The eliminated teams, the Jets, Raiders, Bills, Jaguars. Jets are just playing for spoiler for the last 3 weeks. The Raiders right now are hoping that their woes will be settled because they have now been recently sued by the city of Oakland this past Tuesday, just a day after they fired their general manager, Reggie McKenzie. So they got enough issues besides the fact that they were eliminated from postseason contention, for the 16th time in the last 19 years. The Bills, on the other hand, are at the postseason again. Last year, of course, they were in the postseason for the first time since 1999. That was 17 straight years of not being in the playoffs. And then this year, of course, we're seeing more of the same. Yeah, good to be a Bills fan. Now, the Jaguars, on the other hand, they are sort of the Jaguars of 4 years ago. Yeah. They did a few weeks ago end their 7-game losing streak, but it's been ouch to watch them. Blake Bortles has been a main reason why they're going to draft a new quarterback. I'm thinking Drew Lock should be on that team. Now, NFC, the playoff picture. Number 1, New Orleans Saints, and the number 2, Los Angeles Rams. They both have identical 11-2 records. However, the Saints defeated the Rams earlier this season, 45-35 in New Orleans. Therefore, the Saints own the tiebreaker. And not only did they have the number 1 seed, but they clinched their second straight NFC South championship. So the Saints are going back to the postseason. Congratulations, Drew Brees and company. What a magnificent year. And he's still looking to break the all-time passing touchdowns record. I don't know if it will be this year, but definitely either this year or next year on the second year of his $50 million contract. And you got to love what the improvement that the defense has had this year. The Los Angeles Rams, 2 weeks ago, they were the first team to clinch their division, the NFC West, for a second straight year. So the Sean McVay era has paid off in dividends. However, they had a bit of a roadblock. Sunday night in Chicago, they lost 15-6. The fact is, this was a Rams team used to scoring on their opening drive, used to making big plays. But the fact is that Cooper Kupp missing the rest of the year, that's going to hurt them a little bit. Todd Gurley was reduced to around 30 yards, which is not normal for a Todd Gurley game. So overall, the monsters of the Midway really, the Bears came out with sharp claws and munched on the Rams and took them to task and won. And for the Bears, this has been a very fruitful season for them. The last 4 years under the John Fox era in Chicago, we're used to them finishing 4th in the NFC North basement. This time, not only are they 9-4, they're tops in the NFC North, they're on the verge of clinching their first division title since 2010. Matt Nagy, or Nagy, wherever you like to call him. I call him Nagy. But anyway, he's changed the whole culture of the team. The acquisition of Khalil Mack has not only redefined the Bears, but the entire division and the conference as well, and made every play around them better. And it's freeing up other defensive players to make big plays. Roquan Smith, too, the rookie, has done a great job as well. Fuller, on the other hand, no, that's for the Chargers. Sorry, wrong team, wrong player. But nonetheless, the Bears have been great. Now, the Dallas Cowboys in the number 4 slot in the NFC East. Dak Prescott, masterful job in these last 4 weeks. And Amari Cooper, since being acquired from the Oakland Raiders, all they had to give up was a first-round pick. Let's see how that pays off for them. But still worth it, because look what he did last week. The game-winning overtime touchdown, his 3rd of the game on a slant route, pinballed, still in bounds, down the left sideline. Booyaka Shah, he wins 29-23. Well, the Cowboys win 29-23 in that game against the Eagles. The Seahawks at number 5, defeat the Minnesota Vikings Monday night last week, and now are in the driver's seat for that wild card slot because they don't have a chance in the division. The Rams clinched it already. They still have a chance to get back to the postseason. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year in Seattle. What happened? Well, Russell Wilson decided, no, I think the rebuild is over. We're going to win a championship. We're getting back to the Super Bowl. And it starts now. The Minnesota Vikings, on the other hand, tenuously holding on to that sixth and final seed in the NFC picture at 6-6-1. But the teams that are nipping at their heels at 6-7, the Panthers, who have now lost 5 straight games since their 6-2 start. The Eagles right now, are slowly climbing back up a bit. The Redskins now on their 4th starting quarterback, Josh Johnson, this week for the first time since 2011. He'll be in Jacksonville starting against the Jaguars. Wow, what a matchup. Josh Johnson versus Cody Kessler. If anybody needs to fall asleep, watch that matchup. Now, the Packers are still mathematically in it, despite the fact that they're 5-7-1. They would need to win every game and need some help along the way. It's possible, highly unlikely. The Buccaneers right now, even if they win all 3 games, I don't think it will save either Jason Licht, general manager, or Dirk Cutter, the head coach's jobs whatsoever. I think they're going to be getting their pink slip on Black Monday, which is usually the day after the regular season ends when coaches find out they no longer have a job. And, of all days that it's falling on, New Year's Eve. So, we end the year, you find out at the end of the year that you don't have a job and you go into 2019 wondering, what am I going to do with myself? Am I going to get another job again? Am I going to be in the broadcasting booth? Who knows? As to the Giants, they're at 5-8 right now. Very doubtful they'll make the postseason because of the 1-7 start that they had on the season. But since the bye, they've won 4 out of their last 5. Let's see what they can do right now. The Lions, on the other hand, in Matt Patricia's first season, the fact that Golden Tate was traded, some injury issues with Kerryon Johnson, the offensive line being so-so, and the defense, needing some improvements. I think Darius Slay is great, probably one of the best shutdown corners, but the rest of that, and Glover Quinn is not too bad, but the rest of that secondary needs a lot of reworking. Now, the Falcons at 4-9, it's probably going to be time for them to say bye-bye. Even if they win this week hosting the Cardinals, they're going to be mathematically eliminated by the end of the day, and this will be a failure of a season. And it really shows that still no host team has ever played in a Super Bowl. That's the only thing left that has not been done in the Super Bowl. This year's Super Bowl will be in Atlanta, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Atlanta Falcons. So I guess they're going to be missing the party in their own stadium. And that's all the playoff picture news for this past week. Getting some news lately. As I mentioned earlier with the Oakland Raiders, this was one of the weeks that this was like a bad reality show taking place. Monday, they let Reggie McKenzie go after serving them faithfully for the last 6 years since 2012. And he was still under a contract extension that was going to take him through 2021, and they decided, even with the victory over the Steelers, that it was high time for him to go. And, Al Davis's son, basically told him, nope, you're done. That's it. See ya. And, so Mark Davis basically just could not take it anymore with the direction of this team, despite the fact Reggie got you 3 first-round picks. I don't know how that gets him fired, but the fact you have 3 first-round picks coming to you next year and then 2 the following year, that's 5 first-rounders in the next 2 years. So you're letting the new replacement come in with those 5 picks? Good luck to whoever the new general manager is. Because, no offense, I think Mark is following the same strategy his father is. His late father, Al Davis. And Some of what Al Davis, I'm not going to say was bad. He did a lot of good things. He was the first person to hire a Hispanic head coach. He was the first person, he basically was all for diversity in the NFL. So some good things in that regard. He was great with that. But when it came to being a control freak, he made the Cowboys owner look like an amateur when it came to that. In fact, he used to have a phone in his booth, in his owner's box, and call down to the coach and tell him what plays he wanted them to run. That's being an utter control freak right there. I'm thinking Mark Davis, well, there's no way he's doing it this time because you got John Gruden. You want to talk about the ultimate control freak and egotist right there? I liked him in the booth, but he should have stayed in the booth and not come back as a head coach. Less stressful. I know the money was attractive and the years he got, but at the same time, something tells me he is not going to last all 10 years of that contract. If he does, then I don't know what else to say except I guess miracles can happen. Now, the next thing that took place on Tuesday, the city of Oakland filed a federal lawsuit not only against the Oakland Raiders but the NFL itself for the Raiders' move to Las Vegas in 2 years, in 2020. Yeah, it was this 49-page document, 7 different claims against the NFL, including, referring to the NFL as a cartel. They're suing for punitive damages from the Raiders, what they consider illegal move to Las Vegas, lost revenue that the Oakland taxpayers invested into the organization, and they say the Raiders' move violated the NFL's own policies on team relocation. They want a maximum amount of damages. They're not going to try and prevent the Raiders from going to Las Vegas. They just want punitive damages awarded to Oakland for all the taxpayer money invested. That's it. Let's see who wins that battle. When I find out any more information, I'll get that to you on the Blitz Zone here. And there have been some major injury updates, including Emmanuel Sanders, the wide receiver for the Denver Broncos. He is on IR for the rest of the year. And John DeFilippo, who was hired as the offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, was unceremoniously let go this past week for the failure of the Vikings on the road against Seattle on Monday night. And he was the guy who was the quarterback's coach, who was responsible for the Eagles winning the Super Bowl last year for the first time in Eagles history. Something tells me there might be a reunion in the future with Philadelphia back at quarterback's coach next year. Just saying. Or if I'm the New York Jets, I would maybe try and pick him up for the new as a new OC. Maybe he could do better with the Jets than he did with the Vikings. Plus, I would always like to see a Jets special. After all, we're seeing Colts specials, Dolphins specials, Bears specials, and the Philly special. Why not a Jets special? I'm just saying. As a fan, I would love to see that happen. All right, let's recap the week that was. Week 14 in the National Football League, starting the Monday night game, Vikings, Seahawks. And Chris Carson blocked the kick, but had a 2-yard run with about 2:53 left in the game. The Minnesota Vikings lose to the Seattle Seahawks 21-7. And Bobby Wagner, the linebacker who last week had a 98-yard pick six, leaped over his on special teams and blocked a Minnesota Vikings field goal attempt. Now the Detroit Lions going to the desert take on the Arizona Cardinals. The Lions were just there. Offensively, they weren't there, but defensively, Darius Slay, who is tied for the league lead now with 8 interceptions, steps in front of the intended pass from Josh Rosen to Trent Sherfield, picks him off, goes 67 yards for the game's first touchdown. They end up winning 17-3. The only other offensive touchdown was a Zach Zenner play by the running back for the Lions. Otherwise, it was pretty much a ho-hum day. They win 17-3, the Lions. Falcons, Packers. Despite the fact that Deion Jones was back in the defensive lineup for the Falcons, the fact that Julio Jones got several big touchdowns on the day, It did not matter. At the end of the day, Aaron Jones with a big 29-yard rushing touchdown for the Green Bay Packers. And the Packers win 34-20 in the first game for Joe Philbin as the interim head coach for the Green Bay Packers. Maybe he's making a case to be the new head coach next year for them. You know what? If I were Cleveland, I would follow suit and make Greg Williams their new head coach as well going to 2019. Just a little suggestion right there. Ravens, Chiefs. Talk about a big matchup right here. First off, the Ravens take the lead with about 4:04 to go in the game. They're up 27-20, but then comes the Chiefs. 4th and 9 to 40. Mahomes scrambles to his right. Crazy crossbody play for a 40-yard gain to Tyreek Hill. Then on 4th and 3 at the Ravens 5, Mahomes throws a dump-off pass to Williams in for the game-tying touchdown. 27-24 all at that point. We go into overtime, and Harrison Butker gets the big 36-yard field goal as time expires. 27-24 Chiefs. Fortunately, the Chiefs did lose last night, but that kept them at the time in first in the AFC West. Jets, Bills. The Jets, of course, coming off 6 consecutive losses, looking to end the bleeding against the Bills team, coming off a rather absurd game in Miami, which they had more total yardage, more time possession, and were better on third down efficiency, but a couple of bad turnovers and penalties, and they lost to the Dolphins back in Week 13. Well, here's more of a mess in Buffalo in Week 14. Yeah, basically, they're up 16-0. I mean, no, not 16. They have a lead, the Bills, in this game, and yet they give it up. 59 seconds to go. Trumaine Johnson at the Buffalo 45 gets a huge pick off of Josh Allen. And Sam Darnold leading the game-winning drive, eventually getting the touchdown to Robbie Anderson in the middle of the end zone. They win 27-23. Jets' first victory since the middle of October against the Colts, while the Bills right now are at the postseason yet again. The Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers, Cleveland Browns. The Panthers are looking to end their 4-game losing streak, while the Browns are looking to just come off their disappointing Week 13 match against Houston. This time around, Baker Mayfield throws a huge 51-yard touchdown pass to Jarvis Landry. And then he has a 3-yard scoring run and a long run on a similar call in the fourth quarter. They end up beating the Panthers 26-20. What really killed me was with 2:35 to go in the game, 4th and goal, Newton yet again overthrows Jarius Wright. This was the same situation that took place weeks ago in Detroit. Mistakes like that are what cost your team the game. I'm thinking Cam Newton's shoulder is not fully healed as we all thought it was. I think he's having some issues with his accuracy, and it showed right at that very moment. The Los Angeles Rams, Chicago Bears, Sunday Night Football, Monsters of the Midway, and believe me, the Monsters came out to gnaw at the Rams with a 15-6 victory, putting them at 9-4 and within a game of clinching the NFC North for the first time since 2010. And the fact is, the big moment for the first time in 11 years, Bradley Soul, the offensive lineman, catches a beautiful touchdown and caps it off with an awesome dance number to celebrate. While the Rams right now are going back home to reevaluate that game, and it shows that the Rams can be beaten. The Bengals, Chargers, in Los Angeles at the football stadium. And I'm not talking about American soccer football. They play at a 27,000-seat stadium in Carson City. Anyway, Chargers are actually behind the Bengals. Who would have thought the Bengals would actually get a lead? But eventually, Michael Badgley gets a 59-yard field goal in the game. They end up winning 26-21 over the Bengals. And the Bengals have now lost 5 consecutive games since their 5-3 start. In fact, they were 3-1 to start the year, and people were thinking that the Bengals were going to the postseason. Things were turning around, and this is Unfortunately, only 2 wins since that start.